So today I'm going to discuss a new topic, the rule of law, and it looks a general term, but it requires the deep understanding. Is everywhere in the modern topics we are using this term, the rule of law. Everywhere you saw it in newspapers and articles and books particularly. But this term requires in-depth analysis and critical understanding because it is one of the most crucial terminologies, and it appears ordinary but requires a detailed analysis. So we will start it with the definition of Britannica. You can also use Wikipedia and the other sources for its basic definitions. Then we will be discussing the case study of the United States is central. Then Europe, China, India, Pakistan. That are the further example to explain this term. So we are starting with the definition of the rule of law. So it is a practice, institution, norm, or mechanism. It supports the equality of all the citizens, equality of all the citizens before the law, guarantee a non-arbitrary form of government, and generally prevents the arbitrary use of power. So simply we can say that the rule of law means that there is no one above the law. And rule of law generally implies that every citizen it is subjected to the law and no one, even the most highly placed officials, is above the law. It means that everyone will face the law equally, and law must be universal in its applications for all the citizens. Now take the United States, whose founding fathers stress on the equality of all citizens, justice, liberty, freedom, human rights, and the rule of law. So we witnessed from history that the United States founding fathers like the Woodrow Wilson and other members, they supported the basic human rights, justice, liberty, but there is a huge gap between the theory and practice and the implementation of the rule of law. As the United States witnessed slavery and racial discrimination, it continued in the United States for centuries. And as the United States witnessed a civil war in 1860 and then the civil rights movement in 1960 under the Martin Luther Kings. So, despite the fact that the founding fathers and the pioneers of the United States were the proponents of rule of law and human rights and justice, but still, the United States struggled for centuries in order to fulfill the gap between the theory and practice. In Europe, case is no different. So my voices were raised centuries ago regarding the divine rights of the kings. As the 17th century political theorist John Locke argued that it is the natural life of human being to have life, liberty, and property. So this was a revolutionary idea that was later supported by many other political theorists and philosophers. So the Europe continued to contribute to the Renaissance and Enlightenment, and Europe also faced racial discrimination, xenophobia, civil wars before they succeeded in establishing the European Union, which holds the people of different cultures and race under the umbrella of universal human rights, justice, and the rule of law. So it is also another example. And now look at China's example, as it witnessed an economic progress in a very short tenure, particularly in the last 3 decades. And this economic progress is attributed to meritocracy and strict enforcement to the rule of law under a complex web. So the political system of China, it is somehow different from the United States to Western countries, as we witnessed a disturbing international order worth recognizing because the utilitarianism and unilateralism is on the rise and multilateralism is on the retreat. So we will be discussing this topic in our next videos and in a segment of international relations, but it is also the case study of China. And now if we look at the examples of India, so which started its independence as a pluralistic, secular, and democratic country, it has changed its dimensions and gears now. and India is trying to build a Hindu-dominant state on the basis of religion. Although the non-Hindu citizens, they are likely to resist this blatant discrimination on the basis of religion, which in turn can distort and create a disturbing commotion in the Indian society, as we witnessed in the recent moment of the Khalistan movement by Sikhs community and the other member in the community of India. Pakistan also suffers from the gap between the theory and practice of the rule of law, but here people enjoy the harmony on the basis of religion, and the life of Prophet Muhammad also illustrated the harmony in peaceful coexistence. But if Pakistan is to become a progressive state under the rule of law, all its citizens must be treated equal before law. Our government system should embrace a clear separation of power between its branches, that are executive, legislative, and judiciary. So uniting these powers, according to the 18th century political theorist Montesquieu, could lead to authoritarianism, is amply witnessed in the short history of Pakistan. So in a nutshell, we can say that law itself must be clear, universal, and application, and easily knowable to the people, should be formulated after due diligence and consultation, and without any retroactive effects. The violation of law by powerful elites like the United States invasion of Iraq in 2003 and then the Russian invasion of Crimea in 2014 with impunity had violated and undermined the rule of law both at the domestic and international level. So the use of law for undermining of political opponents and their vindication could only bring the deleterious consequences, as mentioned and argued by Montesquieu, that there is no more tyranny and racial discrimination than using law under the garb of justice and human rights. So it is also short notes on and the rule of law. I started the definition with Britannica and then explanation with the case studies of different countries and segments of the world. So I will be sharing my experience regarding the rule of law. It is also one of the sides of my interest. So I'll be exploring it further, and I am grateful to if you are sharing your information concerns regarding and the rule of law, its application, universality, and universal application, etc. Thank you.